So first of all, I'm gonna present about the introduction of corruption in the construction sector, which is the construction sector is a crucial to the economic growth of any nation. It significantly contributes to overall economic growth and provide the necessary infrastructure for social development. This is crucial since the development of physical infrastructure is an important measure of the financial stability of a nation, which is country. So, for the political corruption was caused by abusing of political power, which is politician or public official misuse their position to contract to allies or donor often for personal gain. And for the lack of communication, which is procurement and approval process, lack of openness, allowing decision to be made behind closed door without public oversight, which is oversee, and with administrative monitoring, which is anti-corruption bodies or auditor or legal system may lack of independence or resource to navigate and prose- prosecute political corruption. And fourthly, about the campaign financial dependencies, which is politicians depend on fund funding from major construction firm during election, leading to favoritism in return for financial support. And fifthly is about injustice and corruption, which is political leader favor friend or relative by placing them in position of influence or awarding them contract regardless of merit. For the environmental corruption was due to weak environmental law, which regulation may be outdated or full of loopholes that make enforcement difficult or to process the enforcement. And regulatory capture, which is environmental agency, are influenced to control by powerful political or corporate interests. And project approval corruption, which is developer pay off environmental inspector to approve high impact project or skip review. Fourthly is about lack of public participation, which is communities affected by environmental decision are often excluded from the planning or approval process. And fifthly is about the poor monitoring system, which is even when law exists right now, poor monitoring allow violations such as illegal dumping or deforestation to continue. For the economic corruption, it was due to or caused from the unfair market competition, which is firm engaged in collusion or bribery to outbid honest competitor, especially in environment lacking strong competition law. And profit maximization pressure, which is company are face intense pressure to deliver profit and may resort to unethical practice to secure high value project. And thirdly was the lack of regulatory enforcement, which is economic regulations such as procurement law or financial oversight are poorly enforced to inconsistently apply. And company of agreement, which is the market is dominated by a few major companies, which is facilities unit information and tender process manipulation. And lastly is about the financial reporting, which is hidden, that was explained like the lack of transparency in budgeting and accounting allow for inflated costs, which is false billing and mislocation of resource. So for the professional ethics, which is first of all is about the importance of professional ethics in construction. Professional ethics guide words, decision, and behavior, especially in construction, where projects greatly impact the economic environment and public safety. Secondly, is about the ethic conduct of construction professionals, which is engineers, architects, and project manager must act honestly and responsibly, avoid conflict of interest, and prioritize safety and the public goods. And thirdly, about the benefit of upholding professional ethics. which is following the professional ethics, build trust, ensure quality outcome, and promote a culture of integrity and accountability in construction. So for the legislation, first of all, is about the impact of legislative changes, which is these changes in construction law and commercial transaction greatly affect the construction industry, companies, and regulatory system. And secondly, is about the purpose of reform, which is this legislative reform aim to improve safety, sustainability, labor condition, and contract clarity within the construction sector. And thirdly is about the key area affected, which is new law influence risk management, procurement, dispute resolution, and project financing, leading to contract that emphasize compliance, accountability, and transparency.
Well, let us look into the view of the habits. In many developing countries like Malaysia, small bribes, often called tips or coffee money, have become normalized in the construction sector. What might start as a simple gift to speed up a permit can eventually grow into a deeply rooted culture of systematic corruptions. These practices are often passed down informally from seniors to juniors, becoming an unspoken norm in project management. A real case that reflects this trend is the Pan Borneo Highway project. Investigations reveal that around 3 to 5% of the total project cost was regularly allocated for bribery, and the contractors even considered it a part of the routine budget. Now, moving on to customs. In our local context, gift giving is a common tradition. But in the construction industry, this can blur the ethical lines. Cultural norms around the reciprocity can turn well-intentioned gifts into expectations of return favors. And that's when the corruption begins. According to a UNODC 2018 review, these informal exchanges often escalate into contract favoritisms. One notable example is the 2016 Sabah Water Department scandal. Over 114.5 million Malaysia ringgit was seized, and the investigations revealed that so-called gift culture play a major role in allowing corrupt contracts to go through. Traditions such as loyalty, seniority, and family ties are important in Malaysian culture, but they can become problematic when applied in business decisions. In constructions, these values can override merit and technical competence. Contracts may be awarded based on personal or political connections rather than capability. This is not undermines fairness but also increases project costs and reduces public trust in the system. For instance, Global Witness reported in 2013 that timber and infrastructure contracts in Sarawak were repeatedly given to companies linked to political families, bypassing open tender processes entirely. Lastly, let's talk about the demographics. Factors such as low education levels, rural isolations, income disparity, and limited digital access all reduce public awareness and participations in oversight. When people don't understand the procurement process or can't access online platforms, it becomes easier for corruptions to go unnoticed. A study by Watch 2018 found that communities with strong intergroup networks, known as bridging social capital, are better at resisting corruptions. However, in areas like Sabah and the East Coast, many projects have suffered from poor monitoring due to weak infrastructure and limited community involvement.
Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Haziq bin Shamil. My metric number is CN230114. Okay, today I'll be talking about how Singapore has become one of the world's most successful country in controlling corruption, serving as a model for others, especially our country. According to Transparency International 2024 Corruption Perception Index, Singapore ranked third globally with a score of 84 out of 100, the highest in the Asia Pacific region. This ranking reflects not only their low corruption level but also the trust people have in their public institution. Singapore's success is built on four powerful pillars: strong legislation, fair and independent adjudication, effective enforcement, and clean public administration. These pillars are backed by unwavering political will. For example, the Corrupt Practice Investigation Bureau or CPIB is fully independent and can investigate anyone, including minister, without needing prior approval. On top of that, civil servants are paid competitive salaries and are regularly monitored for performance, which discourage misconduct. So that is the key success for Singapore. Okay, for next slide, we want to compare Singapore and Malaysia. Okay, let's compare how Singapore and Malaysia approach corruption control. Okay, first, in Singapore, we see full independence in enforcement agency, digital procurement system like GBs, ensuring fairness and strong protection for whistleblowers. Malaysia, while making efforts such as through the MACC and e-perolehan, still face challenges related to autonomy, enforcement, and public trust. Civil service reform, fair procurement practice, and transparency are also areas where Malaysia lag behind. Okay, focusing to construction sector. Corruption in construction sector is particularly damaging because it affects infrastructure, cost, and public trust. Singapore has addressed this by using digital tools, strict contractor vetting, and mandatory interest declaration. In contrast, Malaysia existing guideline lack rigorous enforcement and often fall short in preventing abuse.
Hello, Doctor. My name is Sean. So let's begin with the institutional and legal framework in Singapore and Malaysia. In Malaysia, we call MACC, which is Malaysia Anti-Corruption Commission. It's operationally independent but reports to Parliament through the Prime Minister. This structure often raises concern of political influence, which affect the public trust. While Malaysia has anti-corruption laws like the MACC Act 2009 and the Whistleblower Protection Act, which is 2010. So this standard is weak enforcement and limited public confidence have made them less effective. The result is a system where investigations are sometimes perceived as politically driven rather than impartial. In contrast, the Corrupt Practice Investigation Bureau or CPIB in Singapore often operate independently under the Prime Minister office, is one of the world's oldest anti-corruption agency and has full authority and investigate any individual or organization without prior approval. This independence, combined with strong political will and fast legal processing, entail penalty under the Prevention of Corruption Act to ensure swift and impartial enforcement. Next, let's look at transparency and public sector integrity. In Singapore, they leads the way with GEBIZ, which is a highly advanced digital procurement system that ensures government tenders are fair, open, and competitive. This can reduce favoritism and eliminate the space of behind-the-scenes deals. Civil servants are also paid well and promoted based on performance, which discourage bribery and encourage meritocracy. For Malaysia, they also have a digital procurement system known as e-perolehan. However, weak enforcement means it is still vulnerable and manipulation and fraud. Furthermore, civil service reform has lagged. Low salary and outdated promotion practice reduce accountability and open the door for corruption. Although Malaysia follows CITB protocols in the construction industry, inconsistent monitoring and lack of follow-through mean that corrupt practice often go unpunished. Finally, let's explore the cultural, technological, and community aspect. In Malaysia, the approach has often been reactive. Reform usually come after scandal, like the one NTP case, and enforcement is inconsistent. Public education programs do exist, but low community participation and lack of trust in the system reduce their impact. Malaysia is also in the early stage of implementing digital governments and lack of the integrated tools needs to fully monitor and combat corruption. On the other hand, Singapore has consistently demonstrated strong political will since 1959. Its leader and embed anti-corruption values into the nation culture through civic education and public campaigns. Citizens are encouraged to act with integrity, and public service is viewed as a respect and honorable roles. Technologically, Singapore is also highly advanced. Automation in licensing, permits, and inspection helps reduce corruption by limiting human interaction.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Radli. My matrix number is AN220219. So today I will present about role of technology in reducing corruption and enhancing safety. So first, can technological innovation reduce corruption and address safety issue? So digital tools like BIM and blockchain improve transparency in project management and payment. Smart contract also help prevent unauthorized payment for all of us, and public apps and portal enable communities to report unsafe or corrupt practice. IoT and drones monitor workers' safety, site condition and compliance in hard to reach areas. So the case study show that Estonia reduced corruption with blockchain-based procurement, and it is effective only when supported by strong legal and political framework. So about what we learned today, summary of Malaysia and Singapore. So Malaysia got like efforts like MACC, E-Perolehan and Whistleblower Act 2010 exists. The challenge is weak enforcement, limited trust, political interference. So what we need is stronger institution, better monitoring and public confidence. So Singapore is ranked third least corrupt in CPI 2024 score 84. So the success based on strict law, independent enforcement, transparency, politician will. The tools is CPIB, GEBIZ, GBIS, digital procurement, high civil service salaries, promote integrity via civic education, strong whistleblower protection. So conclusion and recommendation, what we got is Singapore proved that a holistic tech-driven approach can curb corruption. What Malaysia needs is stronger institutional autonomy, transparent procurement system, effective enforcement and civic education to build anti-corruption culture. Technology alone isn't enough, must be backed by governance, reform and politician will. That's all from me. Thank you.